friends, particularly for those of you who may be at home streaming and wondering why you're not seeing anything. While we endeavor not to be on Jewish Standard Time, we are indeed living up to our reputation today. We'll be starting momentarily, and thank you everyone for being here. Good evening, everyone. I am Rabbi David Kosak, and on behalf of Congregation Neve Shalom and Israel 360, along with Stand With Us, I want to thank you all for coming tonight and to have the opportunity to get to hear the very important story from Ofri Reiner. So thank you for that. If you have cell phones, please put them onto silent mode at this point, so that we don't interfere with what will be a very moving evening. I also want to thank Rockney Roll of the Jewish Review. I know you've been running around nonstop. He was just at a Federation event and came here to be with us as well, and I want to thank you for that. Tonight's story is important, and while I'm always hesitant to talk about my own experiences, particularly because tonight is about Nova and Ofri and the state of Israel. It was 21 years ago that I was in a terror attack. And what I've learned and what you will get to hear tonight is that when certain events in our life happen, none of us really know who we are until the aftermath. We may have a story about who we would like to think we are, but we don't know in the face of a large traumatic event who we'll be, how we'll act, what sort of courage we'll have to greet the world. And when you meet somebody who, in the face of absolute horror, understands that it is a clarion call to fight the good fight, to bear testimony, to be a messenger of peace and hope and optimism, then you're looking at the best of humanity, and that's what we're going to get to experience tonight. And I want to thank Ofri for being here. I also want to thank my friend and partner, Randy Kessler of Stand With Us, who has helped us with our Israel 360 program, bring so many wonderful programs and guest speakers here. Over nearly 8 years now, we've been running this Israel 360 program, dedicated to getting beyond the headlines and presenting a full, embodied understanding of what life in Israel is like, not just from the news or politics, but life in all of its richness. So I want to thank Randy as well for your partnership. Finally, I want to thank our Israel 360 committee. If you're here, would you just stand up for a moment? Well, we got a few there here. Every year, some years, once a month, other years like this year, with 4 larger events, this committee has done their best with minimal resources to bring the best of program to our community and work tirelessly to do so. So I want to thank them all for their efforts. Without any further ado, I want to call Randy Kessler up at this point to introduce Ofri.
Thank you very much, Rabbi, and thank you to all of you for being here, and again to the Israel 360 Committee for putting this important event together. We've brought Ofri to Portland tonight, and after we leave here, tomorrow we'll be heading up to Seattle, where we'll be doing a couple other events. So if you have people in Seattle that you know that would like to hear of Ofri, hear her speak, she'll be speaking at Island Synagogue on Mercer Island on Saturday, on Shabbat. And then on Sunday, she'll be speaking after a screening of the film Supernova at the Jewish Community Center on Mercer Island. So please, I hope you'll spread the word. Now, given that more than a few people Given that Ofri's speaking multiple times, I will say more than a few people have told me that they're hesitant to attend an event to hear her speak, because recalling what happened on October 7th is so painful. And it is true that recalling that day is so difficult. But you're here, we're all here, and those of us who are watching are here for a reason. That reason is to bear witness. It's important to bear witness to the atrocities that Hamas committed on that day, and to remind the world why Israel is still fighting in Gaza. Our purpose here is also to inspire you with the resilience of one young Israeli who has taken that day of tragedy and turned it into a personal mission. On her first tour of the United States last spring, Ofri spoke to over 5,000 people. And today's visit will be seen by hundreds here, as well as by thousands who watch the report on KGW tonight and who read about it in the Oregonian newspaper tomorrow. So I hope you will find her presentation inspiring. And with that, I ask you to please welcome Ofri Reiner.
Can you hear me? Yes. I didn't know this walk is going to be that long. I felt like I'm on the red carpet, so. It's my first night here in Oregon, and I'm very excited. You show up standing here, voting with your feet, like I call it. It's a big thing to me. This presentation is breathing with me. It's my 5th time already that I'm doing it, but every time it gets better and better because the crowd that I meet is the one who's teaching me a lot of lessons about what I'm speaking about. While I will bear the you will hear the testimony, and I will speak about what I've gone through on October 7th. It's going to be extremely hard for me. For me, telling the testimony itself is like taking it out from a drawer I closed with a lot of locks. So telling it over and over requires a lot out of me, and I need your undeniable attention, and just without any ringtones or something, so it will be silent. Let me start. But before I'll dive into what happened on October 7th, I want you to meet me first, the girl before October 7th. This is me. I grew up in Haifa. I'm 22 now. I grew up in Haifa in the north. When I was 7 years old, my parents got divorced. I have my little sister, Carmel, the one who's in here. And my dad remarried to a woman called Flor. And Flor has 2 twin brothers, Omer and Shalev. This is Shalev, this is Omer. We've grown to be a beautiful combined family. We went to every holiday together. Every shishi dinner was together. I've grown to be a very woman of ideals. I was always the feminist in the room, always the one who's gonna speak out the most and gonna have to win the argument. I was walking in every pride parade that came out as bi to my parents in a pretty young age. I was a very woman of ideals. And the more as I've grown, let me set one definition about belief system. I believe that you all have it. While people are growing up with their lives, they believe they made their own belief system, things that you cannot undermine them in your mind, because it helps you to understand the randomness of life. So some of my belief system about myself was, first thing, my self-esteem. I had a very low self-esteem. As a chubby girl that's gone through a lot of bullies, I kept believing that I'm not enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. Another thing is that I translated most of my verbal thoughts into fears. I kept thinking, even to myself, I'm afraid that, I'm concerned that, I am fearing that. And the third thing is I was always standing in the present, miserable in the present, but looking towards the future. I thought I understood and I figured it all out. I knew exactly which degree I'm going to be in, how many kids I'm going to have, how my house is going to look like. And I was so sure that I didn't even look left or right. I kept believing that if I have one goal, I have my whole path. As a young girl, Zionism was very important to me. All my parents, all my great-grandparents are Holocaust survivors, so I've been grown in a lot of values of what is Israel to me. When I was 14 and when I was 17, I participated in an organization called Seeds of Peace. It's a summer camp here in Maine where Israelis, Palestinians, Egyptians, Jordanians, and Americans speak about peace. As a woman of ideals, I truly believe peace through dialogue and mutual understanding. I believed that it was my duty to hold those two narratives, the Jewish narrative and the Palestinian pain, and I can hold them all together. And that was something that I really wished for my entire life. Even when I became a soldier, I volunteered to be a combat soldier and a commander because I wanted to understand the truth from my own side, to defend my own country, but still to be the woman, the empathy woman in the barrier, to be the one who's going to greet them with hello instead of looking them otherwise. I had my own 8 soldiers. Here are just the girls because it was just a cute photo, but I have some boys too. We did everything together. They were part of my soul.